They were called the Deathworlders. Not by choice, but by reputation. In a galaxy teeming with civilizations, Earth was a myth, a world forged by extremes, where survival meant strength, intelligence, and an unmatched brutality. Other species whispered stories of ancient human wars, of technologies so ruthless they were banned even by the darkest empires. Earth had long withdrawn from galactic politics. Isolation was their shield. Silence, their weapon. But then came the plea. It began as a faint signal. Weak. Fading. Nearly lost in the noise of stars. A distress call from a distant colony on the edge of the Helix Expanse, a small species known as the MYRR. Peaceful, soft-spoken, agrarian. No fleets, no weapons, just fields and music. The attackers were the Zarn, raiders who thrived on silence from the Council. They believed the weak existed to be conquered. And so they came, and the MYRR cried out. The Galactic Council received the message first and ignored it. Too distant, too insignificant, too politically inconvenient. But someone else heard. Not in a council hall. Not in a broadcast chamber. Deep beneath Earth's surface, inside a forgotten command vault where ancient AI systems still listened to the stars, the signal was captured, analyzed, and passed on to Earth's high command. In less than 1 hour, Operation Silent Spear was approved. High Admiral Lyravas stood on the command deck of the Horizon, Earth's oldest dreadnought, now awakened from deep stasis. It moved like a predator, quiet and patient, accompanied by warships with names like Judgment, Wraith, and Echo Black. These ships didn't shine, they absorbed light. They didn't make announcements, they simply arrived. They translated into the MYRR system with no fanfare. To the MYRR, it was as if new stars had bloomed across the sky. To the Zarn, it was something else entirely, an omen. Zarn Command tried hailing them. No response. They powered up weapons. Still silence. Then, without warning, the human fleet moved. Precision orbital strikes neutralized key Zarn warships before they could react. Electronic warfare drones cut communication instantly. Planetary drop pods launched without a word, black cylinders that screamed through the atmosphere and hit the ground like thunder. MYRR farmers watched in awe as towering humans in matte gray exosets marched past them, scanning for threats, moving with chilling coordination. They didn't speak to the MYRR. They simply fought. In less than 6 hours, the Zarn forces were crushed. One warlord tried to surrender. He powered down his ship, opened all hatches, and awaited mercy. The Wraith locked on and fired a tungsten rod from orbit. It passed through 3 layers of armor and left a crater half a mile wide. There was no announcement. No speech. Only fire. When it was over, the humans didn't celebrate. They didn't broadcast messages of victory. They simply repaired the MYRR's infrastructure, left behind power nodes, water purifiers, and a small beacon. Then they left. No reward demanded. No alliances formed. Just silence. The MYRR elders stood in a field where the first human pod had landed, staring at the blackened circle in the grass. One of them touched the ground and whispered. They heard us, when no one else would. Across the galaxy, fear rippled. Council worlds convened emergency sessions. News channels speculated wildly. The Deathworlders are active again. Why did they respond? What will they do next? In one broadcast, a political analyst muttered, "They didn't come for war. They came for someone who asked for help." That's worse. It means they're choosing. In another sector, a Zarn remnant commander screamed at his officers, "Why didn't you tell me Earth was watching?" No one had an answer. Because the truth was simple and terrifying. The Deathworlders had remained silent for decades. Not because they couldn't act, but because they were waiting for a reason. And now, the galaxy knew. They had found one. Back on Earth, in the orbital command station above the moon, a young officer looked over the operation summary. Total operation time, 7 hours, 43 minutes. No human casualties. Minimal damage. Civilian protection at 100%. He turned to Admiral Voss. "Why didn't we speak to the MYRR? Or the press?" Voss folded her arms behind her back, watching Earth through the observation window. "Because it wasn't about words. The MYRR didn't need speeches. They needed help. That's what we gave them." The officer hesitated. "And if the council protests?" She smiled coldly. "Then they can try sending their fleet next time. The stars are vast. The galaxy is loud. But sometimes, a single unheard voice can change everything. And when that voice is heard by a Deathworlder, it's no longer just a cry for help. It's a call to war. And Earth answers in silence, followed by fire." The holographic chamber of the Galactic Council was filled with debate, dismissal, and political maneuvering. Seated at the far end of the circular chamber, Ambassador Teevil of the Story species stood trembling, his voice cracking with desperation. "Our worlds are burning," he pleaded. "The pirate king known as Varnak the Red has launched assaults across our systems. Our defenses are shattered. Our colonies fall one by one." Some delegates looked away. Others murmured legalities, treaties, and borders. "The Story are a non-strategic member species," one of the wealthier counselors muttered. Another chimed in, "Intervention would set a dangerous precedent. Perhaps the Story should negotiate." Teevil's eyes watered. "Negotiate with slavers? With murderers?" The Speaker of the Council raised her hand, voice cold and calculated. "This council cannot commit forces. Your plea is acknowledged and noted." The chamber dimmed. The vote was concluded. The Story would receive no help. But that night, as Teevil returned to his quarters, he activated a private, ancient device, a relic from a different era. It had one purpose: to send a transmission directly to Earth. Only one line was spoken. "We beg you, we are dying." At 4:31 GMT, the signal reached Earth's outer defense relay. A 300-year-old protocol was triggered. No political review. No council vote. Just action. Within minutes, orbital command centers lit up. War vaults opened beneath the Martian surface. Planetary engines activated in the asteroid belt. AI warbrains stirred from dormancy. The message had reached the Pact of Iron, Earth's final promise: no cry for help would ever go unanswered again. Across the solar system, the ancient might of Earth's war machine awakened. The ECS Nightfall, a stealth carrier once feared across 5 sectors, emerged from Saturn's rings. Beside it, the ECS Black Sun, a battleship whose hull was rumored to be alloyed with neutronium. Their escorts numbered in the dozens: frigates, gunships, drone clouds. From deep space drydocks, hundreds of war-hardened soldiers were deployed, Earth's elite Void Guard, each one trained in zero-gravity, planetary assault, and cultural diplomacy. On the bridge of the Nightfall, Commander Elin Rowe reviewed the mission details. She was a third-generation spaceborne officer, raised in silence, trained in war, fluent in 72 alien dialects, but loyal only to one thing: Earth's promise. "We have confirmed coordinates of the pirate fleet," her officer reported. "They're attacking the Story world of Talvex." Rowe nodded. "Prepare jump. Signal to fleet, no negotiations. No politics. Just protection." And then she broadcast one message to the Story system on all channels. It was just 3 words. "We heard you." The pirate fleet, bold and bloated with success, had no idea what was coming. Above Talvex, Varnak the Red's flagship orbited lazily, broadcasting messages of dominance. His lieutenants laughed as they watched Story cities burn. The resistance was weak. The spoils, easy. Then the stars shifted. Without warning, gravity spikes slammed through space. Earth's fleet translated in without fanfare or announcement. The pirates scrambled, caught between confusion and arrogance. They tried to establish communication. The humans didn't respond. A storm of railgun fire erupted from the Black Sun, shredding 2 enemy cruisers in seconds. Drone clouds from the nightfall descended on pirate carriers, jamming their systems and cutting through hulls with nanoblades. Within minutes, pirate ships were falling like rain. Sorry civilians looked up and saw unfamiliar vessels blocking the sun. At first, they feared another invasion. But then they saw Earth's symbol on the side, a single black circle within a silver ring, the mark of the Pact of Iron. Wherever pirate dropships landed, human soldiers followed, emerging like ghosts. Clad in reactive armor, silent and swift, they eliminated threats with surgical precision. When Varnak tried to retreat, Commander Rowe herself boarded his flagship. She walked through burning corridors, stepping over stunned pirates, until she found him begging on his knees. "You're human," he whispered. "Why help them?" Rowe's voice was quiet, deadly. "Because they asked." She pulled the trigger. The galaxy would never hear from Varnak again. Aftermath. The battle was over in 6 hours. The Story people gathered at their capital's ruins. Commander Rowe and her officers stood silently as the Story Prime Chancellor approached. "We owe you everything," he said, voice breaking. "You saved us." "Why? What do you want?" Rowe looked to the stars. "Nothing. You asked for help. That was enough." She handed him a small silver cube, a beacon. "If you're ever threatened again, activate this. We'll come." Then she turned and walked back toward her ship. The entire human fleet vanished into the void, leaving behind only rebuilt power grids, defensive stations, and reinforced planetary shields. Gifts. Not requirements. No colonies. No governance. Just protection. A galaxy changed. The Council was furious. "How dare they act without permission," screamed one delegate. "They violated interstellar protocol," shouted another. But no one dared move against Earth. Because somewhere deep down, even the most powerful empires knew. If Earth had truly wanted control, they would have taken it centuries ago. Instead, they gave something rarer than power: trust. Across the galaxy, whispers grew. Civilizations once ignored by the Council began upgrading their beacons. Others uncovered ancient transmitters with Earth's encryption. The message was clear. The Deathworlders don't ask questions. They don't wait for approval. They don't arrive with conditions. They come when you call. And they leave behind only silence, wreckage, and hope. The transmission had been faint, lost among background noise, nearly dismissed by Earth's automated systems. But the tone, broken and pleading, triggered an ancient protocol buried deep within the Terran core archives. The message had come from a species known as the Varelians. Peaceful, artistic, dwellers of cloud cities suspended in the skies of a gas giant. A century ago, they had reached out to Earth for help when the Scourge fleets arrived, biomechanical monstrosities that assimilated all in their path. Earth heard the call. And did nothing. Not out of cruelty, but caution. Back then, Earth was just beginning to recover from its last interstellar war. It had no political standing in the Galactic Council, and little interest in foreign diplomacy. The leadership hesitated, debated, and ultimately decided, we can't afford to get involved. By the time the Council voted, by the time help arrived, it was too late. The Varelians were gone. Their sky cities shattered, their ark turned to ash. A culture wiped from the stars. Earth never forgot that silence. And it never forgave itself. Now, a century later, the galaxy was different. The Council, bloated with bureaucracy, still ruled from its marble towers, too slow to act, too proud to bend. In the far edges of the galaxy, on the lush, emerald moon of Thalis Prime, a young species, the Ellerin, had sent out a distress beacon. The Skarn Syndicate, a merciless criminal empire, was erasing their settlements one by one, enslaving survivors, torching history. The Council debated. Again. Earth did not. The moment the Ellerin signal was detected, Earth's Central Fleet Command launched Protocol Redemption. In the vast command chamber beneath the Pacific Ocean, Admiral Saren Kale stood before a screen showing Thalis Prime, the red signatures of enemy fleets surrounding it like vultures. Last time, he said, voice cold. We hesitated. Not again. Prep the armada. Relay the code. The officers nodded grimly. They knew the phrase. The code wasn't a battle plan. It was a vow burned into Earth's military soul. No cry would go unanswered. No culture would be allowed to vanish in silence again. The Ellerin prepared for death. Their final cities were surrounded. The skies burned orange from the flames of fallen orbital towers. Children hid beneath ruins. Priests whispered to gods they weren't sure existed. Then, the stars shifted. Above Thales Prime, a massive shadow blotted out the sun. The clouds parted to reveal the Titan, Earth's mobile fortress ship. Behind it followed dozens of war carriers, each carrying troops, drones, and strike craft. The Skarn looked up in confusion. Then came the first strike. Orbital kinetic rods, each the size of a tower, fell from the human fleet with pinpoint accuracy, annihilating entire Skarn landing zones in seconds. Anti-orbital Skarn cannons tried firing, but were blinded by EMP storms dropped from stealth satellites hours earlier. Within minutes, humanity owned the sky. The Skarn fleet tried to flee. They didn't get far. From the void emerged the chasm, a stealth destroyer equipped with gravity-shear weapons and relativistic torpedoes. One by one, Skarn ships were torn apart, without a single Earthship broadcasting a demand or warning. On the surface, human exotroopers landed in waves, moving with brutal coordination. Not a single civilian was harmed. Entire Skarn outposts were destroyed with mathematical precision. One Ellerin child, peering from a collapsed building, saw a human soldier place a protective dome over her family before walking alone into enemy fire. The Ellerin leadership attempted to communicate. "Why are you helping us?" they asked. They received only one message from Earth, relayed through a human AI avatar standing among burning Skarn wreckage. "Because last time, we didn't." Aftermath. The Skarn were gone. The Ellerin cities were rebuilt in days using Terran nanite constructors. Clean water flowed. Power grids lit up. Seeds were delivered for crops that would thrive in the Ellerin soil. No human soldiers remained. No flags were raised. No demands made. Just a single structure was left on the capital plateau, a slender spire of black alloy, humming with quiet energy. On it, in the Ellerin script, was written, "We heard your cry. You will not be forgotten." And below that, in Terran Standard, "In memory of those we failed. This time, we answered." The Council trembles. Panic spread through the Galactic Council. Reports flooded in from observers. Earth had acted without permission. They had mobilized a fleet capable of challenging entire coalitions silently, effectively, with surgical force. Council delegates screamed. "They're interfering with internal species affairs. This violates over 20 protocols. They didn't even ask us." But others, especially smaller, ignored species, felt something else, hope. Because Earth had made a statement with no speech at all. They didn't want power. They didn't want territory. They didn't need approval. They simply remembered the pain of doing nothing. A warning and a promise. Later, in a secret session, the Council sent an emissary to Earth. A polished diplomat from a core world, dressed in ceremonial robes, met Admiral Kale in Earth's orbital command station. "You violated Council law," the emissary said coldly. Kale handed him a tablet. It showed two images, the ruins of Virelia a century ago, and the burning of Thales Prime, halted only by Earth's intervention. He leaned forward. "We broke your law," he said, "to keep our promise." "And what promise is that?" Kale stood, gaze distant, voice steel. "That no one cries alone in the dark ever again."